I want to begin tonight by saying thank you to all of you in our community for supporting our school budget and 2 facilities proposals this past week. The strong support that our voters provided was a welcome boost as we enter the final weeks of this school year, with our focus clearly set on 15-16 and beyond. We have much work to do in the year ahead, of course, including our work around the future of Albany High School and our elementary and middle school alignment. Tuesday's results provided us all with an extra lift. We are grateful to our community for that. Thank you so much. Don't forget, we have an extra long Memorial Day weekend coming up, beginning tomorrow, as a matter of fact. We'll have a 4-day weekend this year due to the unused snow day, which I get applause for the 3 a.m. decisions that I have to make. We planned for 3, but we only needed 2. Our school offices and buildings will be closed on Monday as well, and we'll be back a regular schedule Tuesday morning. Please be safe. Memorial Weekend is one of those difficult times for drivers, so please be careful out there. I don't want to read about you in the paper. Tonight, I have an incredible, nice, generous guest to introduce to all of you. Daryl McGrath recently donated a collection of books to the Albany High School Library in the memory of her husband, former Times Union editorial writer Jim McGrath. We are so appreciative of her kindness and support for our students, and I would like to ask our Albany High School media specialist, Alicia Abdul, to come forward to introduce us to Ms. McGrath and tell us more about her gift. Come on up, please. Yep. You have to turn it on.
Good evening to the board. So as Dr. V just mentioned, I'm going to introduce Daryl McGrath, and then I'll talk a little bit after her words about how the books are going to benefit Albany High School and the library.
Thank you, Alicia. I'd like to, first of all, thank the superintendent and the board for this time. And I'd also like to thank everybody who's here tonight. In my day job, I'm a senior editor at NYSET, the union that represents the teachers, paraprofessionals, staff in all of our public schools. And I think the thanks should go to all of the people who are here on a work night to follow the work of the board. It's fabulous to see. My husband was a passionate supporter of public education. He was an editorial writer for almost 20 years, and he was a strong believer in the power of public schools. When Jim died in September of 2013, very suddenly of a form of heart failure, he left behind a beautiful lifelong collection of 1,000 books. He had been collecting books his entire life and reading his entire life. And I very much wanted to do some things that would memorialize my husband's all too brief life. And one of the things I decided to do was try to find a home for every one of those 1,000 books. I approached several different locations, and one of the places that I approached was the Albany Public School System. I've known Mr. Lesko for many years, and my gratitude to Ron and his office and to Alicia. He connected me with Alicia very quickly, and it took a year and a half, but I cataloged just about every one of those books. Alicia reviewed the list of books, and she took nearly 100 for your high school students. This was an incredible collection. It was fiction, it was classics, it included the Marx Engel Reader. I don't think the high school took that one, but it was something for everybody. There were some unusual graphic novels. There were politics, history, literature, classics, really something that would appeal to almost any student. And I delivered the books this spring, and I am here tonight not to seek gratitude for what I did, but to thank the board and thank the school system, Ron and Alicia, for what they did for me because it was very obvious throughout this long, long effort as I was recovering from an unbelievably horrific tragedy that they recognized how important this was to me, and their care and really affection as I worked on this project was just remarkable. And it's done now. I'm really glad that I was able to do this and glad to thank the board. And it was also very important to me that my husband's name be recorded in the board minutes for all of those editorials where he supported progress, improvement, and the school system. We were not blessed with children, but had we had children, I can guarantee they would have been from pre-K all the way through high school in this school system. And that's an absolute guarantee. Thank you very, very much.
So the library took approximately the 100 books, and we're going to spend the summer cataloging the books. But the second part is something that I was able to show Daryl when she came, which is years ago, the libraries purchased book plates that are stickers that would go inside the books. So when we lost Diane Swierzowski a few years ago to cancer, her husband decided to donate the money that was raised to purchase historical fiction for the library. So inside went book plates for that. We have some collection from Tony McClement's family. And so now the same thing. We'll have the assiduity sticker that marks kind of the Albany Public Schools motto. Put Jim's name in there and then catalog those. And so as she mentioned, there's a lot of classic fiction, but also some contemporary fiction, and a lot of political and social studies that we decided to take. So it was nice to go through those lists as she sent them over the course of the year and a half. So we'll spend the summer doing that, and then we're going to, at the beginning of the year, make a display so that all the students and staff can see all the work that went into it and what is available to them to check out from the library. So we thank her for the donation.
Yeah, actually, if I could just add, thank you so much. I, along with, I'm sure, every board member and most people here, your husband's words meant so much, not just about public education, but on many, many different things. And it is an absolute honor that his legacy will touch our children and my children specifically too. I will be telling my children about this, and it means a great deal. So thank you so much.
That ends my report, Madam President.
Thank you so much. Next, we have our opportunity for public comment. First up, we have Rosemary Kuntz. And I'm so sorry, I'm supposed to read a public comment statement. So as you're coming forward, I will read the public comment. You can just come up, and you're going to sit right with us over here, but I'll read the public comment statement as you're on your way up. The Albany Board of Education welcomes district residents, parents, students, and other people to our meeting. Community involvement at board meetings is encouraged so that we can better understand your views. Please be aware that by law, individual student information or particular personnel issues cannot be discussed at public sessions of the board. When recognized by the board president, please state your name and city of residence. Statements are restricted to a maximum of 3 minutes, and speakers will be notified by the board president when their time has expired. We take public comment very seriously, and careful notes will be taken. However, the board generally does not respond while the meeting is in public session. Sorry about that. Thank you, Mrs. Kuntz. You may go ahead.
My name is Rosemary Kuntz, and I live in the city of Albany. And I had 3 children to go through Albany High School, the whole public system from kindergarten up. And I was very proud of that, too. We are all aware Governor Cuomo imposed special legislation within the 2015 New York State budget related to placing historical underperforming New York State schools in receivership and ultimately possible receivership. 3 schools within the city school district of Albany will potentially be impacted by this legislation, and Hackett Middle School may be impacted immediately. Within the legislation, the Office of the Superintendent is responsible for developing a 1-year turnaround plan. After the year, the plan and the results will be evaluated to determine next steps, which could lead to receivership, either with the superintendent or some other entity or persons appointed to lead the receivership. This is very unique and unprecedented, a situation which warrants strategic preparation and focused action by the district leadership, which is the Albany Board of Education. Leadership of the school district is the most important decision the Albany Board of Education makes, and in the light of the imminent receivership situation, the county is requesting that the superintendent's contract renewal be discussed in a public forum. It is imperative that the students, their family, district staff, district stakeholders, New York State education, and New York State government leaders all understand how and why this decision was made. With the state government spotlight on the city school district of Albany, the critical decision of whether or not to renew the superintendent's contract at this critical time should not be made in the shadows of executive session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vicki Smith.
Good evening. My name is Vicki Smith, and I've been living in the city of Albany for 29 years, and for the last 15 years raising a daughter who currently is a 9th grade honor student at Albany High. She is a good student. I'm glad that she has me, but I'm concerned about all of our kids. It's not enough that she has me. And so I want to make mention of that. I do also want to congratulate the board, superintendent and staff, and fellow community members on the passage of the budget and the facilities propositions. I think that's a good thing. I also want to disclose that I'm an employee of the New York State Education Department and have been for the past 27 years. I'm currently the coordinator of new school development within the charter school office, which is also one of 2 offices under the Office of School Innovation, which is where the school turnaround office sits, and that office has responsibility for your SIG grants. So I say that and share that to introduce myself to you as someone who is interested in filling the board seat vacated by Mr. Egan. And I want to say that I know that we all say and we all know there's a sense of urgency about what has to be done. And without pointing fingers, placing blame, I'd want to step up to the plate and own the problems that we have by being a member of this board, to work collaboratively with you to take the leadership. It's our job, or the board's job, to steer the ship, to provide good governance, and it's the superintendent's job to manage that, to get the job done. And in my experience within the charter school world even, and public school districts at large, so often the problem is that the board isn't governing properly. And when that doesn't happen correctly,
the superintendent cannot do his or her job. I don't know if that's the case here, but in sitting in meetings over the last 6 months, I am concerned about the leadership of this board, and we have to get on the same page about what's to be done and how it's going to be done. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Lataya Brown? I was going to apologize because I couldn't quite figure out that, but
Good evening. My name is Latoya Brown. I live at 291 Elk Street in Albany. I've been a resident of Albany County my entire life. I went through Albany City Public School System. I graduated. Currently, my daughter is Dream Baker. She's a 7th grader at Hackett Middle School. I am here before you also with concerns of the pre-receivership and eventually the receivership. I do not want my daughter's school to be under anybody's hands but the hands of this board. I know that the superintendent's contract is public knowledge, and as I've heard, it is up for renewal or to be ended. But as a mother whose daughter is in one of the top 3 schools that can be put under receivership, I don't feel that the superintendent should not be given her chance to help build our schools back up. I don't think that sending our superintendent out during a time when the schools need her the most is the best decision that this board can make. I feel that I tell my children that nothing beats failure but a try. She needs to have her chance to try. I would like to explain. I'm sorry. I get upset. I'm getting emotional because my daughter loves Hackett Middle School. She is an A+ student. She is an honor roll student. Tomorrow she goes on a trip to Canada with her French class that she is raving about. I worry when she starts her 8th grade year next year. While all these changes are being made, while this is happening, what will it leave for her if the superintendent is pulled? What changes will happen in the middle of her school year that may affect her? I also have a 9-year-old that she's not starting middle school soon, but she will. And if these changes go against, or there is receivership in Hackett Middle School, what will my 9-year-old be walking into when she goes to middle school? I am a parent with a child in these schools, in Hackett Middle School. I want nothing but the best for all of these schools. I want all of these schools to be topped up. I just want to say, please put our kids first. You know, please, any decisions that have to come, just let them come after. Thank you.
thank you so much. Next up, we have an action. We get to certify the vote canvas. So can I get a motion to certify the vote canvas? Ms. Adler, a second. Mr. Bruce, all in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, so the official vote tally is the budget. We had 2,205 yes votes, 865 no votes, with a total of 3,070 votes. So that passes officially. Proposition 2, 2,127 yes votes, 956 no votes, with a total of 3,083 votes. That passes officially. Proposition 3, 2,087 yes votes, 966 no votes, with a total of 2,087 votes. That passes officially. Sorry, that would be 3,087 votes. No, you're right. Well, I don't need to say the total votes. It does pass officially. Proposition number 4, which is our library budget. Maybe I'll just read the yes and no votes on that. 2,177 yes votes, 879 no votes, so that passes as well. And library candidates, Alyssa Kane with 1,715 votes, and Michael Neppel with 1,372 votes will serve on the library board. Leslie Paparone received 1,137 votes. So thank you all so much, especially people that came out to vote, and move forward. Next up, we have an information item on receivership. Dr. V.
The receivership is turning into a 4-letter word, unfortunately. But at the same time, it offers us, I always try to find an opportunity. And even if we don't like how it's been promulgated, it does give us an opportunity. And so today I wanted to make sure I'm on the right slide and give a picture of some context. You should have with that presentation a copy of the actual law behind it, stapled to it, I believe, for a little light reading later on when you have a glass of wine or a glass of water for all you good, healthy folks. But I really wanted today to talk a little bit about the plan of action. I want to talk about the committees that are required. I want to talk about the role of the receiver. I want to share with you the work that's been completed to date, and then I want to share with you some of those next steps. So, some context. It's very clear that the governor sent all of us a pretty big signal that he wanted a change in public education. And while many of you want to think about motive and things like that, regardless of the motive, that's the work that we have to do moving forward. And it was very clear that we cannot continue to do things as we are currently doing them. The legislators, to their credit, worked incredibly hard to change and challenge the original work, because you have to remember in January, the proposition was that an external receiver would take the district. And so while we're arguing a little bit, of course, around, and we're going to let Ann cut loose in a little bit, but the legislators work hard to give us more and more local control. And I'm going to walk you through that, even in the context of the complications as you watched the Board of Regents try to work through that this past Monday and Tuesday. The context for the schools, the way the governor has designed it, it's a school that has been labeled persistently failing over the last 10 years. There's a difference between that and priority schools, which is a new language related to, since 2012. Those schools requiring academic progress are in years 5 through 7, as well as you only have 1 year to, demonstrate demonstrable improvement, which has not been defined. It's big, yes. Schools designed but not persistently, which does not include Hackett. Hackett is considered as persistently failing. And you've already heard that Albany High School and Schuyler Achievement are 2 other schools that are potentially on the list. Again, please remember, the list was the governor's list. The State Department of Education is required to create the list. Please hear me. The first list was the governor's. The State Department of Education is charged with creating the list. Again, we're talking about 3 schools when, in fact, maybe no schools are on the list, okay? You're still with me, right? I need head nods. I'm just telling you right now. I need head nods and bobbles so that I know that we're all still on the same page. So those schools have 2 years They have to create a plan and have 2 years. The goal, of course, is for no one to be on any list toward a receivership at all. And so there is a sense of urgency, clearly by the board, by the leadership teams, and by our partners to make sure that that doesn't happen. We are required then to create a plan. And we're required to create a plan that's going to be approved by the New York State Education Department. We are required to include in that all the bullet points that it says underneath that, including emotional development. You've heard the notion of community schools. City of Albany already has a notion of community schools. We already have social workers and health workers in schools. So we are ahead of the game. That's why I say it's an opportunity. We're ahead of the game in this concept. But we also have to look at student achievement and growth data, and clearly we're looking at closing the gap. None of these things would be a surprise to anyone in the room, I'm assuming. And all of these things are currently being measured and evaluated and submitted to SED through the School Improvement Grant. So none of these are a surprise. At the same time, because we don't know what the definition of demonstrable improvement, we're not quite sure what that's going to mean for these measures. But it's very clear that there are measures that they expect us to use, and those are listed on the previous slide and this slide. There are 2 committees that have to also be formed. And again, there's 2 pieces to this. So the first one is the community engagement team. It's included. All stakeholders must be included, from the principals to the teachers to the staff, parents, and guardians. And their role is to make a recommendation for those high leverage changes that we believe will catapult Hackett quickly in 1 year from where they are to demonstrate improvement. That's that role of that committee. That committee is already getting formulated, and they're already set to move forward. And part of the reason why is because, remember, all of the staff is leaving June 30th for vacation. Well-deserved, get out of town, go on vacation. Our greatest concern is that State Education Department will ask for our required plan while everyone is gone. And so we're trying to build the tentacles for the plan in case in the summer we have to submit that. So there is a sense of urgency with that. The other committee that has to be formed is a committee called the Staffing Committee. This Staffing Committee is in place only if the receiver decides that it's going to change or challenge staffing dramatically, with up to 50% of the staff being transferred, moved, etc. Or if you're going to abolish positions, you're allowed to do so. And so the Staffing Committee is the one that's going to sit, and when teachers and staff members are coming back to reapply for those positions, that Staff Committee is the one that's going to make the staffing recommendation to the receiver. Make sense so far? Here, okay. Now, this is where this gets really complicated, and it's a strange setup. Right now, in 2015-16, since April, the Office of the Superintendent, meaning me, is the receiver. So for 15-16, I play that role as the receiver. And my job is to make sure I can act as a receiver for that failing school. I can act outside of the Board of Education. Now, let's be real transparent. Why on earth would I do that when I have to run a school district? It's totally illogical. It works against how we're trying to work together. And so part of the issue is, how do we manage the receiver role as well as provide the support, in this case for Hackett, and the sense of urgency to get that work done? So, for example, it says I could change and challenge the school budgets. Well, we can do that now through the SIG grant. That doesn't change our relationship. But I'm not going to change this relationship in order to serve just one building. I'm the superintendent for the City School District of Albany. That's 9,000 children, not 600. And I love Hackett, so please hear me. Okay, we're going to do everything for that. But it's illogical. And as everyone has talked about across the region, there isn't a superintendent that's going to act in those ways that we could do according to the law. It's illogical in your position. I could also, of course, replace the curriculum, increase the salaries. There we go, people like that. Abolish positions, require professional development, convert to a community school. But our dilemma, of course, with all of those pieces is the unknowns which I spoke of earlier. The governor's list I told you includes our 3 schools. We don't know what the New York State Education Department will do. We don't know what it means to have demonstrable improvement. That's not clearly defined. We don't have a timeline or a template for the plans that we are to submit. We don't know how we're going to access the $75 million that's supposed to be coming, not $75 million, a percentage. We don't get it all. Really, $75 million. Okay. We don't know how to get that funding yet. And we don't have a timeline yet for the submission of the plans. But I would be remiss if I didn't say we're acting as if this is going to be. We have to be prepared. And so Hackett leadership, am I on the right slide? Okay. Hackett leadership is already working on the committee, and we're already going to have an inaugural meeting next week to set the parameters for that, the ground rules, and how we're going to work together, create the action teams to determine what the high leverage work is going to be. We have an incredibly aggressive timeline, as I told you, because staff will be gone. We're already met with teachers' leadership in order for us to begin a dialogue around significant changes as that committee moves forward. We already have processes and timelines established for Albany High and SAW, because while I'm working right now on Hackett, that entire process has to begin again in August for those other 2 buildings to make sure they're not on the list and don't get there. My whole hope is that our schools get off whatever this magical list is, and that we provide high leverage work for our students so that we can create plans that are actionable, that will accelerate learning, create those partnerships, change how we're doing business, serve our children and families, and ensure that none of our schools ever be caught in the crosshairs of a political fight of not our doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. V. Do we have any questions or comments?
I wanted to just take a minute. Dr. V has heard me personally expound on my frustrations with the way this law is structured and the potential for its impact on public education across the state of New York. Sorry, it's been a long, long week for me. We have an urgent situation for every child in Albany. And we understand that urgency, and I believe that we as a team are going to take the opportunity presented to us by the receivership superpowers to make the most of that for our children. But when I look at the long-term impact of a law like this, and this is nothing that this board controls, this is a state law that we cannot affect except by choosing different legislators and gubernatorial candidates. And I think about how the incentives are structured for teachers and principals to choose to teach in the schools where it is the easiest to teach, instead of in the schools where the children need the teachers the most. I can't even find a way to understand how this could be seen as a good thing. We need to incentivize our best and our brightest to teach where they are needed the most and not where they are needed the least. And that's what I have to say.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else have any other questions? I can just say, I will say quickly that I think that one of the biggest lifts that we have right now from where we're sitting is Dan is absolutely right. We're in a situation where the most recent set of laws that will hopefully, they're being amended and hopefully they will continue to be, but at the very least, the climate is making it incredibly difficult for anybody to want to teach any child that does not come from a perfect home. And there are very few perfect homes out there. And it makes our work even harder. And fortunately, we have a very dedicated group of people on the board and in our staff. But I think we all have a lot of concern about that, and I hope that any staff members that are here in the room know that we are very aware of that, and we're very aware of the hard work that's done. So.
Unfortunately, the City School District of Albany and the Board of Education over the years have allowed, especially Albany High and Hackett, to evolve into the situation that they're in. Now, I understand Ann's concern about the law and what it is or what it isn't, but the fact still remains. We have to look at ourselves and what we have done over the last 10 years in our district to allow 2 schools to fail for 10 years. You can't blame legislation or the governor for that. You can't blame them for that. This comes back to slap us, and I've been on this board 7 years. And I'm sorry, we have to look at it not the way we want it to be. We got to look at it the way it is. This is something that we should be ashamed of as a district and a board, that it got to this point. And now, from the emails and texts that I get and have been getting constantly ever since this receivership came into being, there seems to be much concern about the fact that the legislature states that the superintendent is to be the receiver. I've gotten emails to the fact that it's too much power for her. She can do whatever she wants to, except for, I believe, to overturn decisions of the board concerning superintendent's employ. Once she receives the receivership, it's in her hands to get an education plan together that's going to work, or either we're going into serious receivership. Okay, and then we've got the focus schools. Practically every school in our district is either focus or priority or failing. We've got to look at things the way they are, not the way we want them to be. We can look at them the way we want them to be, but you can't grow until you realize the mess at the beginning, clean it up, and then you can start up. There's that concern about how much power she will or will not have. And then I read in the article today in the Times-Union, the Regents said at their meeting on Monday that the new legislation offers no protection for the superintendent who may take actions during the receivership that the school board does not agree with. They're concerned about that, which plays right in line with the emails and texts that I'm getting. Why should she be allowed so much power? She didn't make the rules. She didn't make the legislation. She didn't put it in. That's what we've been handed down. And in a way, I think instead of picking at that point,
We need to, with the serious situation that we're in right now, we might want to think about what we're going to do to support her, because she'll be the woman, whether we like it or not. She will be the person whose lap all this gonna fall in. And she's definitely the one I'm gonna be looking at. I want to see the education plan. I want to know what you're coming up with. What are you gonna show that's gonna be different in a year that might save Hackett, if indeed Hackett winds up on this list. And they're betting odds are 95% that it's gonna be on there. So I'm waiting for her to show me what's coming together. What do you have? And her cabinet and her staff should be working with her. And surprisingly, this board, every single member on it, should be at her back, not pampering her along, but holding her feet to the fire. What are you coming up with that's going to help us? Now that's where I am with it. I'm sorry. I know people don't like to look back, that's water over the bridge, over the dam, over whatever, but it's what got us, that water over the dam is what got us to the mess we're in right now. And I'm sorry. It's not a time for us to be grabbing at gnats and choking on flies. We've got to get together as a district and a board for the next year. This list is supposed to come out, I believe, Madam President, in the next month or so. I read one of the articles that said 27 schools are coming out on a list in the first crop, or was that's been changed? This is a moving target. Every other week you're reading something different about how things are changing. Well, so here we are. It's just not a time for, and excuse me, timekeeper, I know I'm going over, but it's not a time for us to be jerking and carrying on and screaming and hollering, because we're going to lose out, and the state of New York is going to be looking at the city school district of Albany like, what is wrong with those morons? They are getting ready to lose a school, and they're fighting amongst they're infighting. That's not what we need right now. We do not need people tearing down when we're already down almost to lose 3 schools. We need to be banding together and trying to grow up. Now, excuse me for preaching, but my doctoral is in theology, so you'll have to bear with me, okay? But I'm sorry, you have to look at this exactly the way it is. We've got to make the best of what we've got right now, and infighting and outfighting and this group, teachers fighting and unions fighting and staff fighting and cabinet fighting and board members fighting. We're going to go right straight down the tubes. Do you realize how serious this could be? Not only could we lose our district, the board could go right down the tubes too if they keep moving, because every one of our schools is in trouble. And it didn't start with this superintendent. It did not start with this superintendent. She inherited this mess. So we got to get together here and try to figure out what we're going to do. I want to see the plan. And I'm telling you right now, don't wait. The education plan that you're going to have to get together, I hope you done started it already, because there's no sense in messing around. We got to see it. Soon as you get the first draft done, I want to see. What are we going to be presenting to state ed that's going to turn this district around for that year? And then how are you going to implement it? I think I'm finished.
Thank you, Dr. Brandon. Do we have anything else? You want to go ahead, Ken?
I did want to go, but I don't know if I want to go after Dr. Brandon. So I appreciate the overview and the explanation of the receivership. And I do understand that the plan has to be cooperative and collaborative and with community partners. But I wonder, as Dr. Brandon was saying, we need a plan either way. And I wonder if you have any precursor or any highlights of what the plan might include, or have a timeline around when we might expect something like that.
Well, like I said, I want to I want to have the draft done by the end of June because staff is going to be gone. I'm anticipating that SED will ask for that plan in the summer, and I want to have it finished. I think there's 3 areas that we need to pay attention to with Hackett. It's the use of time with our kids, time for the staff, and how we're going to talk about extending that particular school day. So we need to talk about that. Obviously, we have a team that's got to work on that curriculum to catapult learning. We have to redesign support services for the students at Hackett Middle School, and we've got to talk about who those community partners are going to be to shore up our community schools model that is in partial existence. We need to get that community schools model stronger, because our partners, obviously health providers, have different guidelines that they have to follow, and the difficulty of marrying them with guidelines that we have to follow, so Bill says keeps me out of trouble. We've got to get those partners to the table right now to talk about what that means. So for me, it's really around time and curriculum and instruction, support services. Those are the 3 big rocks that I do believe we've got to do in Hackett right now. But the committee meets on Tuesday, and after that they will come up with more, I'm sure. I've met with the administrators across the district, and they've identified 4 areas. And of those 4, those 3 that I mentioned are 3 of the 4 that the administrative staff is looking for as well. So that's where we are at the moment.
There's a joke that goes, or not a joke, maybe like a little adage or metaphor, where somebody kills both their parents and then throws themselves on the mercy of the court for being an orphan. So I sit here and I listen to something that started out as a receivership and then turned into something entirely different here. And I think that it's very important to separate out the receivership and the condition of our schools and what the data tells us is going on, and a pep rally for the superintendent. So, you did not gavel Rose. You did not say a word. Rose went on and on and on. I don't understand why when I try to actually talk about the data that I should be quiet. What the data shows us is that first of all, the reason I use that thing about the orphan and the definition of chutzpah is because during the budget process, the very things that should have been in place in the budget for the schools that may show up on the receivership were actually not in place. When I came to the board and So, when you look at our data, we are in worse shape. Our NWEA data shows that our children in the last 3 years have gone further and further behind. Our graduation rate increased in my first year on the board, and then it decreased again. Data doesn't lie, and I'm very concerned about where this district is, and where the numbers are, and where the progress needs to be made. And I think we need to keep our eye on that ball and on what we can do to actually change the educational and academic outcomes for our students.
Are there any other comments? Thank you very much. Next up, we have facilities. As Bill is, I guess, getting closer to his microphone, I just wanted to note you might see a new person at the table here, right next to Catherine Cutting, our district clerk. We have our new clerk, Jennifer Kuhn. So welcome, Jennifer. And people in the public, you'll see her more. And Catherine's with us for just a bit longer, fortunately. And hopefully we'll get to see her a bit more, too. But so welcome. Go ahead, Bill.
Our next item actually is facilities, and you have before you a recommendation to award 3 bids for summer work at Hackett this summer. It is to repave the parking lot, so those that go there regularly will be happy about that. The parking lot, and also we're going to put in backup generators. It won't light the entire building when the power's out, but it will carry on the heat, wireless computing abilities, and certain kitchen equipment so we don't have food spoilage. So there'll be some reserve backup power anytime the energy goes out. So those are the bids before you. The recommendation is to approve them. So you just need a motion.
And Mr. Owens, can I get a second? Ms. Adler, is there any discussion? Ms. Savage.
Bill, do you have, number one, any insight into why we only got 1 bid for the plumbing? And number 2, did you have a projected cost for the plumbing, and how does the 1 bid compare to the projected cost?
We only have, it's a very small job. Actually, most of these companies are peaking in the summer. That's when all the school construction is. This was a very small job. It was carefully reviewed by CS Arch for reasonableness. It's $20,000 out of $400,000 in work. It's a very small piece. So the recommendation was to go with a 1 bid.
Any other questions? All in favor of the contract? It's almost unanimous. Mr. Bruce is not at the... Next up, we have a discussion policy review. So we have our interscholastic coaching policy. This has been reviewed and approved by the policy committee. Is there any questions or discussion on this item? Does not look like it. So that will come up next board meeting for an action item. If any board members have any questions between then and now, you can send them out. Next up, the budget, which I believe we do not actually have to have that vote or that discussion. So that just saved 20 minutes of everyone's night. You're welcome, and thank you for those who came out to vote. Next up for discussion is the board vacancy. So I wanted to make sure this got on the agenda so we could have an official final discussion. We've been having it during the budget season when we could, because those meetings are so late. I think no one wants to be there as late as we have been. So we've had several different, we were solicited ideas from the community. We've had a lot of different thoughtful processes that we got from people. And our last meeting, or the last time we discussed it, Mr. Bruce mentioned, I guess I should outline the way we appointed last time. We solicited resumes and a letter of intent. And then we invited the people that did that. We had board counsel check those and make sure that each of those people could in fact serve. And we did actually. And he checked them, and we, after that, we then asked those candidates that were able to make a statement. They each gave a 3-minute statement, and then the board conferred and chose Mr. Bruce. We had some excellent candidates. We were very fortunate. So, including Ms. Savage. We were fortunate that she decided to run anyway. So that was the process that we used. There was several different discussions. I will say most of the input that we got from people were pretty satisfied with that general idea, but there were some suggestions to have, first of all, to give people more time, which I think does make sense personally, and also to give some defined questions, so it wasn't just a general statement. Those were I think the consensus of the recommendations that we got. The last time we discussed this, Mr. Bruce mentioned the idea of, because it says that we shall appoint, which means that unlike every other school board, well, I'm not sure every other, but unlike the majority of school boards, I should say, where they may appoint, so there's not a directive in the law, the Albany Board of Education in New York State law has a special little statute where we shall appoint, which means that we must appoint a board member. It does not give any timeline, though, so we could wait and let the public decide who that seventh board member should be and appoint that person immediately afterwards. We checked that with council. That is indeed accurate, so it is an option. But that does put us in a situation where we would have several more months without the seventh board member, which is important. I mean, we are 7 with a reason, and it's important to have 7 voices. On the other hand, it is very different for us to allow the community to vote in the person, which is the process for every one of us that we've all gone through, and the process of us choosing who that person would be. So discuss. We need to, I would like for us to come up with the solution tonight. That would be my goal, because we did absolutely need to focus on the budget. Now that that is fortunately passed, we should make a decision tonight, one way or the other. So does anybody have any preference or thoughts on it?
I think the way that we did it last year when we did it with Kinney was fine. Other than I think, as you said earlier, that other people have asked for more time. So that might be something that we can do. Yeah, when they're speaking, to give them more time instead of 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. Yeah, would be more adequate. But outside of that, I thought that process was, as a board member, having to review who may have been interested at that time was a very, very easy way of going through the process. So I would vote that we do it the way we did the last time, with 2 more minutes added to presentation time.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed the beginning of your discussion. Yeah, but I just think it's challenging. First off, because somebody would have to compete for a board spot, then they would have to compete in an election immediately this fall. They would have a 1-year term and then have to compete again next fall. So that would be within a very short time frame, 18 months, competing 3 different times. Or, the other alternative is we could have, over those 18 months, 3 different board members, which, just speaking from my own personal experience, it takes a while to ramp up and get involved and be able to be fully engaged in the process. So I also felt like there's nothing fairer than an election. Nobody can criticize it, nobody can question it, and I'll have to say the process, while I thought it was very fair, has significantly impacted my life based on disappointment in how the process was executed. So I personally wouldn't like to oppose that on anybody.
I know you went away, and Ms. Savage.
I think the challenge here is that we definitely need a 7th board member. I think that it's very problematic to have a 6-person board. I would like to have a 7th board member as soon as humanly possible. So I am inclined to agree with Anthony, but given what Ken lived through and how I was impacted by that, even just tangentially, a small piece of what he experienced, my sympathies lie with his personal experience of what that was like. And also the fact that this person has to run for election twice. Even let's just assume all good things happen and we appoint somebody who is then electable. and then they have to run again. That is a huge burden we are asking somebody to take on for a volunteer position. So I think that's a challenge, but nonetheless, I think that it is beholden on us to look for a 7th board member as soon as we possibly can come to an agreement on someone.
Dr. Brandon?
I tend to agree with Anthony. The process we used for Kenneth, I was fine with. What we failed to realize when a board member resigns, filling that spot, time is of the essence. And we have drugged this out entirely too long. Dan left us in March, and it's June. I'm saying the same thing I have said repeatedly. We had the budget to do, but there was no reason why we couldn't have used the same process we used for Kenneth and have Ms. Cutting and Ron Lesko put the stuff out on the website, and we could begin receiving the information from the people that wanted. We could have did that right while we was doing the budget, I feel. I'm only one board member. So, because we've drugged this out, now what Kenneth is saying makes a lot of sense. We're going to put somebody in here now, and then the election's coming up in November. And you got that person running around in circles, so to speak, and they have to go through what Kenneth went through. So I think our problem was we failed to move because we thought that we couldn't multitask. And we already had a process in place. It's nice to get the input from the public, how they think or what they think or whatever, but ultimately, appointing a vacant spot is the responsibility of the board. We had a process in place, and we did not use it, and now here we are almost to election time, July, August, September, October, 4 months. So now I really think the last I questioned Ms. Cutting, had any write-ups come in from any people. I think we've received one. But I think if we're going to appoint, we really need to be about doing it. We have drugged this thing out unbelievably long. And it's not, and now Kenneth is saying it isn't fair to whoever comes in, and he's right. It isn't. But I don't know. The decision was made by, you all know, I said the same thing from the beginning, sent many emails. Why can't we multitask? We can do more than one thing at the time. Yes, the budget had to be done, but there's no reason. We should have had this took care of a month after Dan left us. Now, that's where I am on it, Madam.
So you didn't actually weigh in on what you wanted to do. You weighed in on what your thoughts were on what happened before, but do you want...
Weighed in on what we should have done.
Right, but what do you want to do now?
So right now it makes me no difference because we are in a jam-up situation here filling this spot.
Okay.
So you all decided to drag it. Now you all can figure out how to get it straight.
All right. So... Ms. Adler?
I actually don't care whether we go with what Kenny wants or whether we appoint now. I do know that the timing is not all that off from what happened with Felicia when she resigned. It's exactly the same thing. I know that Rose thinks it's been dragged out, but in reality, we had the same time frame when we appointed Kenny. So I understand what he's saying. Luckily, there was more time left to the term of Felicia's that he inherited, because unfortunately it's the operation of the statute. It's nothing that we're doing. It's absolutely insane that somebody has to actually run again. It's now the end of May, so if we set 30 days, we're talking about not actually deliberating till July. People... Oh, no, we don't. 15 days for people to get their applications in?
I think that's part of the discussion.
Sure.
If we decide that we're going to appoint, then we need to decide the parameters of it.
It's like a Hobson's choice. just there's no one right answer, and I usually have very strong opinions. So this one is just here we are with a one person with a 1-year term, and I understand what Ken's saying. Even if what happened to you was nicer and an easier route, I still think it would be a difficult position right now with this 1-year term ahead.
And I'm actually open to either way. I think it's I feel a very similar way. I think that we're in a situation where whoever fills this term, so a reminder, there are 2 seats up. So one person will get, the top vote getter will get the 4-year term, which could be the person potentially, if we appointed someone, they potentially could get that top vote slot. And we're in a difficult situation. This is the law, where whoever comes in second place only gets a 1-year term. And if they wanted to remain on the board, would have to run again at that point. And that's, it's unfortunate. It would be much better if there was an ability to appoint right now to finish out Dan's term. It's not legal, though. So it's not something we can do. So I guess that we're in a situation. Yeah. Jeff, if you could just once again.
One of your options is not to appoint for the rest of the term. Your option is to appoint now or reasonably soon to now, and that appointment would last through December 31st. And as Ginny pointed out, the second vote getter, is there 1 year left on? All right, would fulfill that 1-year term remaining on Dan's term. But you do not have the authority to appoint now through December 31st of 2016. You can appoint, you have 2 options. You can appoint now till actually December 31st. Again, Albany is unique in so many ways, including this, okay? So you can appoint now, and that runs to December 31st. So it has nothing to do with the election, except the second highest vote getter would fill the 1-year term. Or, I guess the other option is you let the voters decide for you who you would appoint immediately after that, and that person would presumably be appointed immediately after the November election to then fill the rest of the time. It always runs to December. Even in all the other school districts, think of it this way. The board's authority to appoint only lasts until the voters have a chance to fill the position. So that's why it always goes until the election.
Right now, it is what it is. Put the information out there. If somebody decides that they want to do it, they do it. If they don't, then they don't. So it makes no sense to keep talking about this.
So there's Anthony is definitely one for appointing right now. Kenny, you seem to prefer waiting till after the vote. Is that correct? Yes. And appoint right now. Rose is Anthony. Sue and I don't. I'm. Yeah. Well, I'm good with that. Like whatever. There's a majority there, so that works for me.
Yeah, I just wanted to weigh in. I wanted to offer my perspective. I don't have a very, very strong feeling either. So I've expressed my perspective.
Let's appoint. So now that we've decided. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's take applications for appointing. That is very accurate. But let's just quickly figure out the process so that we can move forward. So we will take applications for appointing. Do we want the same thing as before with the resume and a letter of intent? Does that sound good to everyone here?
Yes, that's excellent. I just think as we said the last time we had this conversation, some number of months ago, all of the material, it should be very clear that anything that is submitted to the board will be publicly displayed on the city's website, and there will be no need for anyone to foil that because we will display it on the public's website from the get-go.
The only thing that I would add is just the options that were put out by Jeff, just be put on the website, or that people are informed as to what will happen if they do this.
And I think that is, so I guess either a public CV or resume, whatever the person is comfortable with having public. And I think if, as board members, we have further questions, we can take the initiative to do that. So possibly have that language in there, but make sure. So what is our time frame with this? And then we can.
I think 30 days is way too long. Having just been through this, I would say it takes you a week-ish to figure out if you want to do it. Talk to the people that are in your life and make sure that they're willing to support you in this incredible commitment that your family is asked to make, as you are, and then maybe a couple of days to put your resume or whatever materials you're going to submit together and write a letter. So I would think from the time the announcement goes out, certainly no more than 2 weeks, and maybe a touch under could be doable, but certainly no more than 2 weeks.
So what I would suggest, since we are kind of governed by board meetings, and if this seems ridiculous, just let me know. But we have a board meeting June 4th. If it's possible to, I mean, do people feel that June 4th or June 5th? To get the resumes. I wouldn't necessarily. I feel like June 1st would be too soon.
I think the trigger should be the day that we can get the materials out to the public, because you need 2 weeks after that to get your act together. So as much as I love Ms. Cutting, I don't think there is any reason that she should come to work tomorrow when the office is closed to put this together, nor should she come to work on Memorial Day to put this together, which means that look at her, she says she's coming to work. Okay, well, that's her boss, so you talk to her. But so I think the soonest this goes out to the public, because I think we're going to want to review the text, especially because we've asked Catherine to add some new language here about public information and about the fact that you're going to have to run twice in succession, is that it doesn't go out before Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. So then 2 weeks after that would be the 10th. Is that right? Right? 1, 2. 2 weeks after. 2 weeks after the materials hit the public, whenever Ron publicizes them, we just set the date for 2 weeks after that. It doesn't have to trigger for a board meeting, because nothing's going to happen at a board meeting. It doesn't have to be related to a board meeting.
Well, but my reason for triggering, that's fine, and it still works for my board meeting thing, because then we're meeting on June 18th, and we could have people speak on June 18th. So regardless of, I think that still gives us enough time. So the plan would be to have the material out sometime midweek next week. Would that work for you, Catherine? Yes. So then June 10th, we would get the materials back by, with people speaking on June 18th. So that is set. The next stage, I would say, I also agree. Do we have consensus on giving people 5 minutes? Yes, there are nods, 5 minutes. And then the other layer is there was suggestions on giving people specific questions ahead of time. Now, I like that idea. You want to write them? Oh, that's true. That was nice, I think.
I actually think it's kind of telling what people choose to talk about, rather than laying it out for people. Here's what's important. If you don't know what the important issues are for this district, then I have some question in my mind about whether you belong on this board. So leave it in their hands to talk about what they think is important.
That works for me. So just to encapsulate everything so we're all in agreement, and then I think I'll actually take a straw poll after I lay this out just to make sure we all agree. So we are going to solicit a letter of intent for people in midtime next week. We'll be soliciting a letter of intent and a public resume or CV with that really firm in there that it's public. And the letter of intent, yes, all public information, which it would have been anyway, but it is different if you're putting out your regular resume where you might be adding in, I don't know, that you basket weave, and maybe you don't want the public to know that. With it all back by June 10th, and then people speaking with a 5-minute length on June 18th. And then after that, the board, we will meet to discuss it and look at next steps. So a straw poll, so just kind of a hand up in the air of people that are in favor of that. Rose? Okay, that's all of us that are straw poll in favor of that. So that we are done with that. I'd like a motion. I'm sorry, to amend the agenda. So could I call for a motion to amend the agenda to include field trips, additional contracts, brighter choice lease resolution, and an appointment under routine consent? Hard copies are at your place on the dais. Ms. Adler, could I get a second? Mr. Owens, all in favor of amending the agenda to include those items in routine consent? That motion passes unanimously. Could I get a motion for routine consent? Mr. Owens, could I get a second? Ms. Adler. Are there any set-asides? Ms. Savage.
I want to just set aside the human resources items. I just have a quick question. I don't think it'll take very long.
All in favor of routine consent without the human resources? So when you say human resources items, do you mean the staff matters unclassified?
Correct.
Okay.
It says human resources item on the agenda, and the title is different, so I was going by the agenda. But yes, I mean staff.
I just want to make sure
it's
that
number 23 that I have a question about. If anybody would like to set aside just 23, I don't care.
We'll just hold this whole thing. Yes. So all in favor of the, do you have another set aside? Okay. What is your set aside?
It's the SAFES Mangione.
Okay. So all in favor of the routine consent minus the staff matters, unclassified, human resource items, and the Mangione. That is unanimous. Can I get a motion for the staff matters, unclassified, human resource item? Mr. Owens, can I get a second? Mr. Bruce, is there any discussion?
I was just hoping to take this opportunity for some sort of a mini highlight update about summer school, since number 23 is teachers for summer school. And I have heard sort of muttering and rumor mill that summer school has gone through some improvements, and I'm wondering if those mutterings amount to any truth or not, because I'd like to know, since we got a discouraging report on summer school in the past.
We have changed dramatically summer school to ensure that we were able to serve children for a full day. We've also made sure we had the 4 content areas instead of 2. We've also included the opportunity for students to engage in art and recreation and other ways in which they can do that work. And then, and music, sorry. And for the first time, that Encore staff has been able to, they'll be able to engage with our students over the summer. So I'm looking forward to that.
I am optimistic that this will have positive results for summer school, and I thank you for the mini update.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
It's ironic that Ann brought that one up because I held the update from Tonda in the 518 update where I think it's being called 8th grade Summer Bridge Academy. Is that the same for 2015? Yeah, I held that out because I had a couple of questions about it. It sounds fantastic, but there, you know, hurdle to go over to get this online, in line. But I had held it because I wanted to talk to you to get some more details on it, soon, if we could sit down, because I was going to wait and bring that up at other business on the agenda tonight, but since Ann has already brought it up, I just thought I'd mention it. I saved your whole update packet, because there's some other things in there I want to talk to you about, too. But one of them was the new Summer Bridge, 8th grade Summer Bridge Academy is what it's being called now. Thank you.
All in favor of staff matters, unclassified human resource items? That is unanimous. Can I get a motion for the Mangione? Yeah. Mr. Owens, can I get a second?
I'm sorry.
Mr. Owens was the first, and Ms. Savage was the second. Is there any discussion?
I guess I have a general question, which is why do we suddenly need these? And also comment. I feel like one more sentence on the of explanation would have covered that.
These safes are needed in every school building for the security of all the standardized state tests. Currently, we've been storing them in Academy Park. They have to be under very strict guidance. In fact, there's even specifications for every single safe we have to use. So you have this haphazard 10, 15 people are rushing in and out of Academy Park at 7 a.m., loading stuff in their trunk. It's been something we've been wanting to do for a while, but we finally actually put it in the current budget we're in to do this so that the tests go right to the school. They're secured at the school.
Got it. Thank you.
All in favor of? That's unanimous. Next up, we actually have public comment again.
Yep. No, it's on twice. You put it on twice, right?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody, because it's on the, if anybody does want to speak, that's fine, but we had moved our public comment. We were doing it at the end, but we had moved it to the beginning so that people didn't have to wait because there was a lot of frustration with that. So next meetings, we'll just be having them in one place. So go ahead, it's Mally Zipos.
Hello?
There it is.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Malley-Sipos. I live in the city of Albany. I'm a homeowner. I have 2 children. One goes to Hackett and the other goes to Albany High. I was not prepared to speak tonight, but I'm compelled to speak after the meeting. First of all, I'm glad that we had an approval of the budget. I'm glad that we can put that behind us. I'm glad that today receivership was put on the agenda and it was discussed, and thank you very much, Superintendent, for providing that information. If you look at the packet, I'm concerned because we're getting a very gentrified image of what receivership is. We don't have a choice. It was imposed on us, and I agree with everything that the board said. But here's the reality. The reality is this superintendent is going to be able, as it's in our packet, review and make changes to the school budget. These are the powers that the receiver will have. Create and change school programs and curriculum, supersede a decision made by the Board of Education, require all staff to reapply for their positions. That's something that wasn't mentioned. She has the ability to hire and fire every single person in Hackett Middle School if that school does go on the list. She will have the power to do that. These are just the facts. I'm not getting emotional, and I don't expect anyone else to be emotional, but these are the facts. Implement professional development for staff, which I think is a good thing. Expand the school day or the year, I think that's a good thing. Convert the school to a charter school pursuant to the law. So let me be very clear, folks. We're looking at a possible charter school scenario. Here's the situation, folks. Hackett is a persistently failing school. It has 1 year to turn itself around. And I have spoken to receivership about 2 weeks ago at the last board meeting. Don't laugh, because it's not a laughing matter. Please understand that after 1 year, we have a situation that's not going to be in our control, because we will be given to another entity, and it's very possible that we could become a charter school. Now, some people are supporting the superintendent, and some people may not, but I'm going to focus on the data. And the data is we've had 3 years of no progress. And we have to look at that, because we're being told by the state if we don't make progress in 1 year, we're in trouble, folks. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If we can't make progress in 3 years, can we make it in 1 year, which is a scenario of a persistently failing school, which is Hackett. Thank you very much.
And then
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Ellen Roach. I live in the city of Albany, and I wanted to comment briefly on the board appointment process. I agree with Dr. Brandon that this has moved too slow in this case. I think one of the reasons it's moved slowly is you do not have a process or a policy in place. You can't reinvent the wheel each time and discuss and go on and on. I believe the board should adopt an official policy with the number and the rule book on how you do it every time, because the fact is someone resigns every couple of years, because this is a very intense commitment. Some people can't do it for family reasons. Some people have other professional things that get in the way. Some people move out of the district. We won't talk about that. But there should be a policy in place, and the same policy should be followed each time. That would go a long way toward resolving any complaints of not being impartial in this decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You know what? You're going to go next. We're going to solve it all.
My name is Andre Rivera. I reside in Albany. I have a graduate student that graduated from Albany High School, and I also have a daughter there now. So I believe wholeheartedly in the city school district. I came up here today because one of the things is that we got to deal with the solution at the moment. There's no way you can bring somebody else to replace Dr. V at the moment. Call it a pep rally, call it what you want to call it. Last time that we was here, that we met at the last meeting, there was no problem with the way someone disrespected Dr. V at that meeting right here. So you're showing us that there is dissension amongst the ranks here, right in front of the very people that you're supposed to be representing. You know what I mean? That's what I see here. Body language tells it all. The way you look at one another tells it all. And if the people of the community decide to come here and support Dr. V or anyone else on the board, then it's their right. It is their right. They deserve the right to come up here. And Sue, I don't think you ever seen a pep rally down on Clinton Avenue or Henry Johnson Boulevard. So, and we can get one of those here now.
If we could not do just specific board members, that would be
what I'm saying is that Dr. V was disrespected by a board member right here. last time we met. And no one said nothing. And what I'm saying is now we have people in the community coming here trying to show support to one person here that has 1 year. 1 year. Like the lady just said, she got 1 year. You know what I mean? She can't do it alone. She needs everybody's support. And my thing is, as a person that supports the public school, that held all types of stuff out there against Governor Cuomo, you know what I mean, and all them other things, and organized and did all that, I think that y'all missing something here, and that is you have parents here who are willing to do anything possible to assist Dr. V and the board to make sure that we can at least be an active participant in the role, or at least doing our best to try to get this school going in the right direction. Because I don't agree with charter schools. I'm public school all the way. So I'm just trying to make you aware, and everyone else aware, is that if you need people from the community that are parents, that are involved, that are professional, that speak English, Spanish, Arabic, Chinese, I will go out there and get the people I need to recruit with the team that I got for a pep rally, if that's what you want to call it, to make sure that we get here and get you some support. That's where I stand at. Thank you.
I live in Albany. I have 2 kids in the school district. My name is Samuel. And the main thing I'm here for is, again, as last time, to remind you that everybody had been elected to be part of the Board of Education because you are supposed to take care to make sure that the kids of Albany get a good education. And you guys decided who you wanted to hire, and you decided which contract and which clauses in that contract you were going to have as a superintendent. And I think that there is a main problem when a contract doesn't allow you to impose, to request deadlines, request a plan or request deadlines, or make sure that you receive the documentation that you request, and that you need to be able to set up policies, set up request dates when something is going to be produced, and make sure that there are deadlines and you get things on that time. And I think the main thing that I feel is that we need to make sure that we have a good contract for. I don't have anything against the superintendent. I don't have anything against any of you, but we need to make sure that we have a good contract in place that is going to allow you to set up policy and to make sure that you can demand that things are done on a timely basis. Now that there is this problem of the receivership, we are talking about a plan that could have been there before, 3 years ago. You see what why we couldn't have a plan 3 years ago, and now suddenly we are in a hurry. Yeah. So and as Dr. Brandon said, some members of the board have been there before. So we need to make sure, you guys, that you think on the kids of Albany and you do the best for them. And I'm sure the superintendent will cooperate. I don't really, as I said, I don't have anything against any of the members of the board, and I don't have anything against the superintendent. But we need to be organized, have a plan in place, and have the rules to be clear. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm back again only because I felt singled out by a board member. I'm not here to support one person on this board. I'm here for my children. Every one of you go home to your children. I go home to mine. When I go home to make sure I take care of my children. Part of taking care of my children is making sure they get the best education at whatever school they're at. My daughter leaves Hackett to go to Albany High School. So Hackett is just not on my list. Dr. V is just not on my list. The only people I care about are the 3 people that are at home. I'll do a pep rally for you if you were the superintendent. Whoever needs my support. Parents that sit out in this audience, we don't do it because we want to. We do it because we support our children. I don't go to school with my child every day. She walks into Hackett by herself. She learns at Hackett by herself. So I'm going to stand with Hackett. The best possible choice, the smartest choice, would be able to show New York State that we're not in the business of kicking people when they're down and putting people out just because they're not getting the results that you want them to have. You got to give somebody a chance. And a chance means giving our children a chance. I'm not a failure. I don't want my daughter to be a failure. I'm not going to let Hackett be a failure. And I'm not going to be laughed at as a school district in a state that can't keep their shoes and panties out of a bunch for a little while just to get our kids on the right track. I don't feel that this meeting should have been called. I'm upset about the comment that you made. And we're not supposed to point it out, but your comment came after I left this podium. So whatever you have against whatever's going on up here, you leave that at the door, you leave it at your desk. We're here to talk about kids and what kids need to do. You upset not just me in the audience, but other parents in the audience too. I will pep rally for whoever. It could be Toto, Frodo, the dog, but it's Dr. V. So Dr. V, I'm behind you just like this gentleman is behind you for my child's sake. Don't ever make me feel like I'm in the spotlight again. You don't like what I have to say, you don't like it, but you keep your comments to yourself. Let's be professional. Thank you.
I want to apologize. I wasn't here earlier for the comments. Hackett School has been a problem for a generation or two. For generations or two. I'm sorry I wasn't here earlier.
Bernie, can you introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm Bernie Bryan. I'm an Albany resident. My child has graduated from school a long time ago. But what I would say this, you shouldn't use receivership as an excuse. You should use receivership as an opportunity. What you need to do is you need to seize the moment and do some things, think outside of the box. Dr. V, I hope you have a truly bold plan, and I hope this board backs that bold plan. But under the threat of receivership, you should really think outside of the box and do some things that are going to make a real difference in some of our kids' lives. And the time is now. We've been kicking this can down the road for 2, 3, 4 generations. Time is now. Do it.
I'm going to have Nolene.
Good evening. My name is Nolene Smith, and I'm a regular at the board meetings. I come so that I can stay on top of stuff so I don't have to pick up somebody to tell me something and run with it. I stay, I collect the notes, I go on the website, I search the state website, I look at numbers. Every year that the state numbers come out, I go through them, I compare what the white kids are doing, what the black kids are doing. Did we close any gaps? How far are we away? How many kids are moving out of one school to another? I can watch the numbers and see who moved out of Toast and went to the Montessori school. So I spend a lot of time doing research around education. And my children have been successful. I only had one child that actually graduated from Albany High. I removed the other ones because I felt that the school was out of control and they weren't really learning at AP levels. They were being told they were learning at AP levels. So I put my child, because ultimately as a parent, I need to just make sure that my children graduate from college. Deidre graduated from NYU. Patrice graduated from a small elite school in Florida. And Janine is a senior now in SUNY Albany studying political science. I say all that to say that I feel the same way for every child that's born in the city, that they're entitled to a good education, regardless of what household they were brought up in. What I have to say, though, is that for me, we need the receivership I don't care about it. I actually don't. I care about whether or not we're making gains and we're changing children's lives. A child that goes into Giffen Elementary School at 5 years old and then go to Hackett and then to Albany High will have been in a failing school their entire life. And when children are in failing schools their entire life, they will not be successful. It is incumbent on all of us as adults to make changes and change the way we're doing business. Kids need to learn to read, and we need to make sure they're reading by 3rd grade. Also, in terms of your receivership, if there's money to move, please move it and get it to the kids that need it the most. We need both things. We need to say, I am doing this at this school because more children in that school need it. For me, kindergarten and pre-K needs to go to poor children because the gap starts before they get here. And if we're going to change this district 10 years from now, we need to start putting the things in place that's going to make a difference. Thank you and good luck.
I just want to say, wait, did you turn it off? No. This is awesome. This to public afterwards. Jennifer Lang, sorry. I have children in the public school system. Next year I will have 4 in the public school system. I've been at the board meetings regularly, but I want to say this is really great because we voted for your budget. We passed. We are so supportive. And I think that we came out to say we believe in you, but a lot of change has to happen. The receivership, I will have a child at Hackett in the next 2 years. I will have my 2nd child in Hackett in the next 3 years. So Hackett is very important to me. Our children go to Delaware Community School where we both have an enrichment program and also one of the highest poverty language barrier schools as well. Talking about the receivership, thank you very much for your presentation. I do want to say, though, I was disappointed at the lack of questioning for the receivership and where it would go forward. I had a lot of questions I was thinking would be asked about community school. I don't know what that means. What we projected money, staff, data was a good one. What are the scores coming out of our 5th graders in math and English? Where is that focus and whom and what programs? I also want to say that I was a bit disappointed that there wasn't more cohesive effort to say, we're your board, we're your administration, all hands on deck. Let me roll up my sleeves and work together to say, how are we going to get this done? And that's what I want to hear, because that's what us as parents are doing. We're saying, what do you need from us? And you're saying, vote for our budget, vote for our facilities. So we did that. So we want to hear from everyone else, how is everyone rolling their sleeves up? I know it's hard. I know it takes a lot of time. I've had my trials and tribulations this year. I've shed my tears. I've had my successes. But it's all hands on deck. And these are the hands that are on deck right now and right in front of us. I've written emails. I've given thoughts. I've done everything that I possibly can. But this is why we're all here today. And I just hope that we all are rolling our sleeves up and all have our hands on deck. Thank you.
And just as Ms. Sullivan is coming up, I just wanted to say that on behalf of more for my fellow board members, there are few people that I've seen who have pushed their sleeves up and worked as hard as this group of people. And I think a lot of the reasons why you didn't see as many questions is because we've all spent a lot of time educating ourselves on this issue. So when you've already asked a lot of questions and you've already educated yourself a great deal, you don't need to ask them in the public forum. So understand that a lot of times presentations are brought here for the public as much as for the, we're already working on it. So we've been working on it. We're going to keep working on it. And please understand there's a lot of work that happens not at board meetings. In fact, the majority of our work does not happen at board meetings. So we're doing a ton of work outside of it. And, please always remember that. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Janine Sullivan, and I have 2 children at Delaware Community School. This fall, there will be 3. I thank you for the presentation about the receivership. I've had a lot of thoughts about that. My oldest is in 3rd grade, so it's on the horizon, and he will be going to Hackett. Some of the thoughts that I had during the presentation were I was curious about what a community school means and what are community partners. And I don't know what has been going on behind the scenes to start building this plan, but I just wanted to share a couple of ideas I don't know, in case they would be helpful, but I thought about when I was in middle school, what was it that made me come to school and made me work, and maybe putting a student survey out to those students to engage them in the process as well, so that they feel that this is their school, and it's something that, asking them, what do you come to school for? Is it the arts? Is it music? Is it athletics? And then going to the teachers and saying, okay, we've got a large group of kids that are really into the arts. Can we be doing the cross-curriculum teaching that is going to reach these students? And as an art educator myself, I've done a lot of cross-curriculum teaching, and I know that our teachers here are really capable of that. Are we giving them the opportunities to have the planning sessions together so that they can do the cross-curriculum teaching? It's a powerful tool. It raises those scores. Can we be doing more enrichment? As the community partners, can, me as an artist come into the classroom and volunteer my time? What can we do? Rolling up the sleeves. What do you need? Come to the community. We're here for you. And as a point leading into the future, please expand the dual language program so our students have more access to it. It should be too deep. We can do that without cost with the co-teaching model. Please consider expanding that program to get the more academic, rigorous, everything good that's about learning another language accessible to our Spanish-speaking population and our English-speaking population, bringing them into Hackett, bringing the scores up. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Thank you so much for comment. Next up, board committee reports. I can tell you the policy committee met, and that was the interscholastic coaching policy. And we will be meeting again. Were there any other board committee meetings? Board member items. Are there any board member items? Oh.
I'm not sure if this should be under board member items or other business, but can we get an update on the board retreat? Can we get an update on the board retreat? If we're having it, when we're going to have it,
We are meeting on Tuesday to discuss the officers, Dr. V and Chuck Diedrich, who's going to facilitate it.
Who?
Chuck Diedrich. And we were supposed to actually meet on the 8th of May, but unfortunately Chuck was asked to, I believe, present at the Board of Regents discussion day. So he was regretful that he had to cancel it, but I for one was happy that he was asked to.
I'm just asking that as you proceed, keep all the board members updated on what you're doing.
Absolutely,
okay?
yes.
The other thing is, a while back you gave us a list of that we need to probably be checking on, board member items, and you had them dated as to when they had come up. I hope this doesn't get lost somewhere. We really need to be checking back on this and making sure we're working on things.
That's actually going to be part of what I want to discuss
at the retreat.
Yes.
Okay, receiving. Now, I added to this list receiving students from Brighter Choice Closing. Is that going to, at some time or the other, come before the public so they know what's going on? I don't know whether I should be asking you. Is that going to be on the agenda for the next board meeting? Because I'm getting phone calls. People want to know how we're going to handle these children coming from Brighter Choice, where we're going to, so that needs to be a public conversation.
Absolutely.
And soon.
I think that, and there's a lot that the superintendent has to put together to have that conversation. And I think that we need to, before we have the public conversation, we need to let her do that work.
Yeah. But the phone calls and stuff are still coming. The other thing that I put on this list of yours is the curriculum thing. We got to get, that's on the next, that's on the agenda for the next. Okay, thank you. I think that was it for me for board member items. Okay, that's it for board member items, Madam President.
Can I tag on to Rose's desire for updates and just find out where we are on grade reconfiguration? Because I'm feeling at sea about where we are on that and what the process is and when it soon.
Yeah, the first gathering of folks is on Wednesday.
Are we supposed to go to that?
You said you wanted to go to anything and everything, so you didn't get the invitation yet? I promise Catherine will be coming in tomorrow to send you one.
Wait a minute. Does anybody have it on their calendar now who could just tell us when it is,
If
so we do
somebody
not
wants
pick
to just
any
tell us right now.
conflicting?
No, please. We want her to come back.
Where and when? What Ginny is saying quietly is that we have a policy committee meeting scheduled for that same exact time in a different location, and I think that those of the board members who want to be at both places are feeling quite stuck by that situation. So we'd like to untangle those two things so that we can attend both.
I have 40 people coming to my event, so if you could untangle,
Let us
I would appreciate
untangle the
it.
policy committee
Thank
to
you.
some other date. Sorry, Kathleen.
So Dr. V had asked that I mention this, although we don't have a committee meeting date yet. It should be hopefully in the next week. But the Governmental Relations Committee, even though the legislative budget and our budget is passed, is going to be meeting because of what you may have seen in the newspapers and on TV, which is the governor's education tax credit that is now being pushed as part of the legislative agenda. That, if for those of you who don't know what it is not the first year this has come up, but it is the governor's desire to allow money to flow to private schools and give people a credit. It's been written about a lot. I've posted on it on Facebook. There's a lot that's been written because it's believed that the particulars of the law are such that the average person is not going to be able to say, can I have $200 for the Catholic school I'm sending my child to? That it's actually something, again, that for those who are very wealthy, that they will be able to access it and get tax credit for it, that it is another way of undermining the public school system. So with that in mind, because of the push now and the commercials about them on TV, and even if it does not get passed in this legislative session, as it's been pointed out by the board president, it's not the last time that we're going to be hearing about it. It's going to come up year after year until either the tides change and the message is clear that New York State will not stand for that, or unfortunately, something we hope never happens, the tides change and the legislature, both houses, pass it. So we will be having a governmental relations committee on that coming up, and thank you, Dr. V, for suggesting that people hear about it. Since there's a large group of people here, at least you know that that's on our agenda and what we need to really focus on now. And we will be asking the community when the time comes to hopefully rally against that, to send letters, to contact their legislators, and let their voices be known that if you support public education, that giving a tax credit for education that is not public is not the way to go about supporting with already scarce resources.
Bruce.
In light of all the public comment around the superintendent's contract, I'm wondering if we can have a discussion around that in a professional manner, talking about our thoughts and the decision-making process. So I don't know if that's feasible or if it's desirable, but it feels like it should be thought about.
I will say we're not supposed to talk about personnel issues. That's a personnel issue. That's my feeling on it. So.
That's a contract issue. Her contract is on the website, public knowledge. Anybody that wants to can go out there and read it, how much she makes, the whole 9 yards. That's not private. That's a public document. That's a contract issue, which in my feeling, I think it should be handled just like every other contract. But
Jeff, would you like to weigh in?
What I would suggest is it depends on the nature of the conversation, but if I may, why don't I work with board leadership and Dr. V to discuss that issue?
I have
Take a request. It depends on the nature of the conversation.
I have no problem with that, Jeff, but I think you need to work with the whole board to have that conversation, not just the officers.
Well, let me start there, Dr. Brandon. You know I meet with the whole board regularly. So
We need, if whatever conversation and the clarification of it, it needs to include the entire board, because we were all elected with the same power. As it is now, we got a little problem here because sometimes the rest of the board members don't even get it all, and when we get it, it's after the fact. So if we're going to discuss it, it needs to be the entire board. If it has to be an executive session that we have to publicize and go into, then we have to do it that way. But I am tired of these conversations with officers, and then the rest of the board does not get the information. That's a public document out there, and we're talking about contracts. And I agree with Kenneth 100%. The public is talking about it now, so why are we just going to sit here and act like we don't hear them? The public is talking about it, and it's because we're going into receivership. If the superintendent's contract does not get extended, we're going to be caught in the middle of a receivership, changing horses in the middle of the stream. And yes, I'm getting emotional about it and excited, because we're going to look like a bunch of jerks to the rest of the state, any board crazy enough to want to change superintendents, and that's why the public is concerned about it. And we need to be concerned about it. And I'm sorry, I have to bring it out. I'm not going to sit on this board and skirt issues. We're doing too much of it, and our district's going down the tube. Now, that's where I'm at with it, and I'm asking you again, as I calm myself down, if you're going to talk about this, you talk about it with all 6 board members so we can weigh in on it, because there's some discrepancies already. We were told something in executive session today, and when I got out of it, it's a totally different story. I'd like to see you, Dr. V, and probably the president as soon as this meeting is over, because there's a discrepancy in what you told us in exec session today. We've got to get these things straight. There's no sense in muddling along, and that's where I am.
If I may suggest, Dr. Brandon, all of my conversations have been with the entire board. So we're together on June 4th. So I promise you that I will comply with that request, and I'd be happy to talk with you after the meeting.
Thank you. Madam President, you too, and the superintendent. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any board member items? Other business? Dr. V.
When the board took an action on the human resources list this evening, they supported the new principal for Delaware Elementary School, Mr. Ken Lane.
Any other business? That's a tough act to
Yes,
follow.
I have one. Sorry. I'm glad you're here tonight, Jeff, too, because I've been wanting to bring this up in your presence so I can get clarification on it. We have brought up the Baby Institute several times, and it has not been made clear as to why the district cannot make some funds available to help the Baby Institute. I've been involved with it, Kenneth's been involved with it, and so has Sue. And we never got, all we keep saying is that it's not legal for the district to whatever, but there hasn't really been any reason of substance given as to why. This is a program that is an excellent program that feeds children eventually into our district. And under Ray Colucciello, there was some funds given by the district to support this particular program. And I need to know from you exactly why we cannot help fund this Baby Institute. It's the one that Nolene Smith runs. And I've been involved with it, Sue has, and so has Kenneth. So could you explain that as to exactly why the district cannot do any funding for that program?
First of all, I want to make clear I'm in favor of babies and better parenting, okay? As I recall, and I'm trying to dig off some memory cells here, but my recollection is this is a program run for parents, not for students in the district. And the New York State Constitution prohibits the gift of public funds, is the phrase, and school districts are what we call creatures of statute. So unless you have specific authority to spend funds, which is typically on behalf of students, you don't have the legal authority to run what may well be or fund a very deserving program for the community, or as I recall, this is a parenting program for community members. So it's just not part of the education mission of the district for the K-12 students attending the district.
Okay, so then my question is, apparently Dr. Colucciello should not have given funds for that program the year that he did?
That would be my conclusion, yes. Had I been asked, I'd have offered the same answer.
The funds should not have ever been given for the reasons that you just gave?
Unless the program has changed, I would agree with you, yes.
And it's because these children, they're not actually...
Again, my understanding is it's adults that, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone here, but my understanding, my recollection is it's a program run for adult parents in the community, not students who are parents, but adult parents on bettering their parenting skills. I'm sorry.
Is that description correct, Ms. Smith? No. Could you explain it to us, please? We can get this one nailed down once and for all.
Thank you. So the focus of the Baby Institute is to help parents become the teachers of their children. So we work with parents and children in one side of the room. We have children that are 0 to 3 are the target group, and we are training, we're teaching them stuff, as well as we're teaching their parents how to read to them so that they can be better prepared when they enter school. My understanding, though, is that the school district is responsible for students as soon as they turn 3, and they have the ability to guide and teach children, parents, to help their children get ready for school. So while I understand that it's somehow locked in some legal web of whether or not we're benefiting, what we're trying to do is preparing students to close the achievement gap before they enter the door. That's what we're trying to do. And in all seriousness, parents are their first teachers, right? And the gap begins because many of the poor parents are not understanding what they need to do. And I just want to put a feather in my cap since I'm up here. Last night, I did a parent engagement with Trinity Institute, and we had over 20 parents, poor parents, parents of English language. We taught them how to build literacy, and they were so excited. So at any time the district want to make sure we help close the gap, there are grant money. You don't have to use your budget money to do it. There are other grant money that asks the district to partner with organizations that are helping prepare kids for school. And that's all we're trying to do. So I asked the board to consider looking at some of the grants, the other $50 million worth of grants that come in here, and see if there's a way to make sure we close the achievement gap before it's too late. Thank you.
And Mr. Honeywell, the grant money. Mr. Honeywell.
You're really making the end of the evening fun for me here,
Right,
Rose.
that's what happens when you go to Europe and spend 17 days. You come back all energized.
We're not letting you go again.
You
then.
come back all energized. So the grant money that she's talking about could be used for this?
I don't know if Nolene is referring to grant money that her program receives directly or grant money to the district. Whether she can use grant monies that the district receives is going to depend on the grant funding and the parameters of the grant, which I don't have before me. And again, I want to be real clear. I think this is a wonderful program, okay? The analogy I would offer to you, Dr. Brandon, is Albany and many other school districts, but Albany in the past has run special programs, for example, for your own students who become parents while they're students here in high school, for example. Those programs are permissible because they're servicing your students. I do understand the potential nature of potential students, the 0 to 3, but the fact remains, however laudable the program is, it's for the benefit of the parents improving their skills to help improve the kids. Just like it may be very good to run a program to help the homeless in the city of Albany. That may be very worthwhile. It's just not your legal authority to fund that program.
So if these were 4-year-olds?
It doesn't matter. You have the authority to run preschool programs because those directly benefit the 3 and 4-year-old students.
All right, I got you, but I just wanted to
I'm just explaining. I'm not defending the law.
Yeah,
here,
I just
Dr.
wanted
Brandon.
to get this cleared once and for all because it's disheartening. That is an excellent program.
I couldn't agree with you more.
And apparently, you have to work on what, honey? You got to work on the law. Well, we have to.
And by the way, the law here is the New York State Constitution. This is not some regulation we're talking about.
So let's say that these that some of the parents were like it was siblings. So some of their siblings were in the school district. Would then those specific parents?
If the parents were siblings of...
No. If there are older children that were in the school district.
No. My fundamental understanding is the program is the benefit is to improve the potential for the children. It's the parents who are the recipients of the training, the assistance, etc. So it doesn't matter who the siblings are, etc.
Any other? Is that it? Sue, you have something you want to share? Okay. All right. Okay, thank you for making that clear. I just wanted to get it out so we could hear directly from you what the story was on it. Clearly, you can tell from the conversation, we would like to fund that program. This board would like to fund that program. If you've ever seen it work, it just steals your heart. It's something, and those children eventually will feed into our school district. And that's why we're not understanding why we can't give some funds to it and even expand on it, to be honest with you. I just have one other. Yes, sir.
I'm so sorry, but we have public comment. So if now's not the time for that, though. Thank you very much. But Dr. Brandon, if you'd like to continue.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Ryan, for chiming in. I have one other, and it's the fact that I asked for a listing of programs, which I was told would be mammoth to get together for me, but I haven't forgotten it, and I hope you all haven't. I still need to know, this was a part of the budget request, every program, Could you list it for us, please? Now the budget process is over. You got from now to the next budget process to get it together. Would you please put that back on the burner? That's it from me, Madam.
Could I get a motion to adjourn? Mr. Bruce, a second. Ms. Adler, all in favor? That is unanimous.